Hello, my name is Catherine. I am a mother and a maker. Welcome to my first episode of sharing my knitting journey, my maker's journey. I am primarily a stay-at-home mom and a homeschooling mother, a home educator. I have two children, an 8-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy, and one on the way due in March. So I'm just a little bit past the halfway point of this third pregnancy. And you're joining me in a space that is transitioning from what was my full-blown mama studio, a place for me to make and sew and really dive into any creative projects that I'm doing, kind of shut the door. I'm sure as this journey continues, I will show you how this space is going to transform into a nursery slash mama's den, at least for the first year that baby's here, where I can just have like a knitting basket and a nursing chair and share what it is that I am making right now and some things that I've completed that I'm really proud of too. So I am actually a new knitter, but I've been making things for years. I'm a ceramicist, an acrylic painter. I love to bake, make sourdough bread for my family. Always have, something fermenting or going on around here. It is never dull. I have my hands in projects always. I live just south of Sedona, Arizona. We've been here for about 6 years. I'm from the Midwest. I just thought it would be really sweet. I told myself if I finished this project that's sitting behind me, that would be such a good time to start a knitting podcast, because I'm actually still quite new, sort of, beginner, advanced beginner, maybe bordering intermediate, maybe knitter. And I really was so inspired as I've been learning to knit by all of the knitting podcasts and all of the beautiful makers who just keep me so inspired and keep me company as I'm just knitting away. So where to begin? I think I'll start with what's right behind me. Now, this is a crochet project, and I should preface and say my first love was crochet. I am a very advanced crocheter, but the thing with crochet is that I find it to be quite limiting for the things that I want to create. So I have created, I think crochet is amazing for kids' clothes. I think it's really cute because you get that chunky texture, and I just think that's so adorable on a little one, on a little kid. So I've made cardigans and a sweater for my son, and those are super fun, and I can just crochet those up no problem. It's just in my hands. One day I'll have to show you some of the projects from my great-grandmother that I inherited that she never finished, and that might be a fun episode to show you some pieces I have from her that I'm probably just gonna frame them, but there's so many of these beautiful crocheted squares. I'll give you a little sneak peek here, but maybe one day we could do an episode where we talk about kind of like preserving some of those fairly family heirloom pieces. So, but that was all crochet work, and I swear it's just in my hands. Crochet has come very, very, very easily for me. Knitting came not quite as intuitively, but I've been working at it for about a year, and it'll be fun to show you some of the projects that I'm working on. I foresee some very soon episodes where we go through some baby knits, because I'm starting to get ready and pretty anxious to knit for our baby. However, this project behind me, this is a wedding gift, and this has taken my full attention because it's already late. We've already passed the wedding. I was in the wedding and very involved. It was my brother's wedding. And I wanted to make them something because they're both very artistic. I wanted to give them something that felt very heirloom, had a depth to it and a romance to it. And so this is the project that has consumed me for many months, and I have not woven in my ends, and I did not block it. So we can debate if this is truly a finished object, but I was so excited to actually finish the perimeter of this last night and felt that maybe it's time that I start to share some of these creations. So this is the based off of the Celtic Weave Throw. Is that the name of it? By Bonnie Bay Crochet. I have her Celtic cable crochet book, and it's really beautiful. There are some beautiful projects in there. And she has so many of these stitches on her YouTube channel that you can learn. And I will link the video below that I used for this, but I want to say it was 80% following her pattern and 20% of me just sort of going rogue and doing what I thought would be best. Mainly because this the middle of this throw of this blanket has her Celtic weave, which I believe is a weave or a, what do we call it? A stitch that Bonnie came up with and created. And that is supposed to take up quite a big part of the middle of this blanket. And for the life of me, could not get that stitch to look like hers and like the way that I wanted it to. I was just really struggling with it. So instead of that being this huge part of the center panel of the blanket, I got about that far and I said, I'm over it. I'm moving on. I need to be able to, I was worried I just wouldn't finish it. Like I would lose motivation and not be able to actually finish this big piece. It is now complete. I know it's not a knitted finished object, but this has been pretty all-consuming for the last few months. I've just only been working on this in the evenings. And then at a certain point, it did start to drag on because it got to a point where it wasn't so portable. I did have this big tote bag that occasionally I would put it in and take it with me, but it just was, it was like a little bit ridiculous to travel and work on that one. So now that this is complete, I am honestly, so I'm still a bit new to the fiber arts. Okay, so I'll say I'm like 2 years in at a very part-time, dabbling kind of basis. And I'd love to know your thoughts. This is Lion Brand Touch of Alpaca. It's the yarn that Bonnie Bay recommended for the pattern. So I got the same color, I got the same yarn. I just went with exactly what she recommended for it because I loved the stitch definition. I loved her finished throw. It was just gorgeous. I don't really know if I'm going to block it. I'm not planning on it. It's pretty gorgeous right now. And I'm just really debating if I should block it or not. I don't know for a blanket this big, and I want to get it in the mail to them, and I'm so anxious to get it sent off. So I'm really debating right now if, do you block big blankets? It just seems a bit intimidating to me. Garments are one thing. This thing is a whole other, this is like another league of size and weight and preciousness. It's their wedding gift. So I'm really nervous to block it. I don't know if I will. I don't think I will. I'm gonna weave in the ends and probably just send it off in the mail the way that it is. I think I'm like 90% sure that that's what I'm gonna do. I'm still a little hesitant, but I'm really proud of it. I think they're gonna love it. And my intention was that it would just be a really decorative piece, like on the back of a chair or at the foot of a small bed. Such a gorgeous project, and I'm gonna get some photos of it today before I send it off. So I do have I have a sewing project and some knitting projects. Let's get into the knitting. Alrighty, so this project is my very first knit project. I've done garments, again, in crochet, and I've sewed things, and I feel like once you have an understanding of yarn, transitioning back and forth between crochet or knitting, it closes the gap quite a bit. And I saw this pattern at my local yarn shop, Knitwits, which used to be in Sedona. They've since moved to Cottonwood. That's a total like locals, or if you're ever in the area, because a lot of people do pass through here, Knitwits and Cottonwood is where I got the inspiration for this project. So this is, I believe it's called the Rowan cardigan. And I've made really good progress on this. I did buy this yarn right in the heat of summer and was just totally feeling these like watermelon colors. The yarn I'm using was dyed in Tucson, Arizona. Let's see if I can get that. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. It has some greens and yellows, mostly pinks and oranges, and this creamy base. And I'm striping this cardigan with this pink merino. So the way that this project goes is a row of your main yarn and a row, or I'm sorry, not a row, a stripe, right, of the merino, and then a stripe of this really beautiful dyed yarn. It's very bright. It's a very, very bright. I am not usually drawn to these colors, but for whatever reason, when I was in the yarn shop, this is such a newbie, total like knitting newbie moment. I was so excited to start knitting. I had been practicing just some very simple stockinette squares at home, just to get my tension right and to figure out how to hold 2 needles instead of the 1 needle. And so I go to my yarn shop and I see that she had just finished this project and it's hanging up and it looks so gorgeous. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. It was so elegant. And so I just was like, and I want to do something different and fun and something that's going to be really cheerful every time I pick it up to work on it. And so this is what we came up with. And I want to say this is, here we go. Here's the top. So the body is done. I have a sleeve almost done. I actually need to try it on and see if that's true. And then I still need to do another sleeve. For my first knit project, I'm really happy with this one. What I would not, if I could go back and talk to myself, whatever it was, however many months ago it was that I started this, I would not pick a project where you're only, obviously, for those of you that are knitters, you're gonna be laughing at me, being like, yeah, of course not, doing the stripes in just the merino, like knitting with just merino, and then just this like fingering weight. I mean, this has taken a lot of time. I wanna say mostly I've been using 3mm needles, and then on the sleeves right now, oh, I did move up to a 4mm for the sleeves because I started with a 3 and something was just like it was just really tight working on this tiny little round, like it just was getting really, really tight. So I moved up a size just for the sleeves, and I don't think you can tell really. And if anything, you know, if the sleeves look a little more balloony and blousey, I'm okay with that. I think what I've loved about this is that I've learned so much. I mean, this has been like a total crash course for me in garment making with knitting. I had the German short rows up at the top, which I think I did I mean, it looks pretty good. I got to do the striping and and work with a really delicate, really beautiful yarn, which I, in crochet typically do not work with such delicate yarn. Most crochet projects just look a bit better if they've got some meat to it. Like a bigger yarn typically looks better, because even if you were to use a yarn like this with a crochet project, it's not going to drape the same as knitwear, of course. So this has been a really beautiful project. I've got to be honest though, once we got into autumn, I wasn't as motivated to be working on this like watermelon pink garment. Yeah, it's not actually, it was interesting. I picked out this yarn. It was a pure just like inner child moment of choosing this yarn, and I am really happy with it. It's very different. I don't think I'll ever make anything in this color again. I do have a daughter who would look just so cute in this, so that has kept me going as well, that I can gift this to her and she would look absolutely gorgeous in this. She has lighter color hair and green eyes, and her coloring is way more suited to this. About a month after I really got going on this project, I had my color analysis done, and these are all wrong colors for me. And I was it actually kind of like took my motivation away for this project, because I was like, this washes me out. This is not a great color. Now, however you feel about that, I just know that if this was like beautiful, like golden ochre, warm, like pumpkin, colors that were in a totally different story, or even just any earthy tones or brown tones, I would probably be finished with it, because I'd be really way more motivated to be wearing it, especially being pregnant right now and having a bump. Cardigans are everything and shawls are everything. So I'd probably be a lot more motivated if I would have chosen a color that was much more wearable. So this is I will never forget the lesson of, the yarn store kind of overpowering me, and all the beautiful like gems hanging up, and that locally dyed skein just was like so yummy, and the pink was so fun. But I am feeling, now that this is complete, I'm feeling really motivated to get that finished up. And then last night I just cast on a new project. So my friend Bridget we'd been talking for a while about doing, and we don't live near each other, but we talked about doing a knitting project together. And she had seen a woman wearing this gorgeous shawl, and she said, "Did you make that?" She said, "Yes, I did. Here's the pattern." And it was like one of those shawls that you put on your shoulders, but you also can wrap it like around yourself and tie it in the back. That Outlander kind of style shawl / vest, which for where I live and for our lifestyle, we are out on hikes a lot. And the thing with like I always feel nervous wearing like a favorite scarf or shawl, because we live in Arizona and everything is pokey, and we do a lot of hikes and outdoor walking. And I'd love to have something that I've made that I wear, but I need it to be snugly tucked around me. I can't just have this like drapey, flowy shawl on going out on a walk around here. I mean, everything has needles on it and will snag it if I'm not really super careful. So this pattern really spoke to me because of that ability to wrap it around myself and tie it up. I thought it's like going to be my elegant walk through the woods look. So I'm really, really excited about this one. I will put the pattern name on the screen. It's something like Claire's something, I don't know. It's one of the many Outlander shawl patterns. that are around, and I've just cast this on last night in bed, and I'm really happy with the progress so far. It has this spine detail right down the middle that I love. It's all garter, which I didn't think I would love. We'll see. For whatever reason, when I see things that are just garter, it doesn't speak to me. I'd rather spend my time making something maybe a little more drapey, but this is pretty drapey and pretty beautiful. I'm holding 2 balls of baby alpaca. These were gifts last Christmas. My husband bought me, and I am not exaggerating, an entire box, like a box of these 50 gram skeins of baby alpaca. He just got them on Amazon, and I have so much of this yarn. So a big wraparound shawl is perfect. I've already made my daughter a cardigan from this fabric, and it's very cozy and squishy, and just, it's alpaca, so it's super soft, and I think it's going to make for a really special shawl. So this is obviously the main color that I'm using, and then the striping, I have 4 skeins of this beautiful earthy yarn. I thought this was going to be my main color yarn for this shawl, but I have 4 skeins. It probably would have been enough, but I'm just not sure, because I'm holding it double, and this I would have had to hold double, and I wasn't confident that I would have enough. So I think this will be a beautiful accent to this. They're just different enough, but still very much the same tones. These are way more wearable colors for me than this pink number, my season of pink cardigan. And I think this will be a really beautiful addition for some striping detail. And then what I would love to do is take the rest of this yarn that I have and make probably like either a thick like braided sort of like cabled headband and some fingerless gloves. So being in Arizona, you know, it does get cold, and it definitely gets really chilly at night. It drops very cold at night, and then it gets really warm during the day. Just the nature of being in the desert it's what happens. So it is good to have layers to bundle up in. I find fingerless gloves to be perfect here. So I was thinking, like, with the shawl, kind of having this whole little like outdoor outfit, right, where I can like wrap myself in this shawl that has the stripe detailing of this, and then have my matching fingerless gloves, and either a hat, or I think maybe I've seen this braided kind of headband look that I really love too. So I'm not sure yet. I'm still kind of thinking about that, kind of this whole outfit that I really want to put together with these 2 yarns. And this is a bunch of natural fibers. I do not remember what it is. Now that I'm documenting this and sharing this process with you, I will be much more conscious to log what is in my fiber, but I know this isn't all like plant-based, animal-based fibers. There's no polyester or nylon or anything like that in here, so it just feels really good for me. I can get kind of sensitive to that stuff. I get really itchy, and I mean, I think we can all agree sometimes it has its place totally in big projects, but I do not enjoy working with it as much, and I am going to try my best to, you know, steer in the direction of more indie brands, sustainable, yarns. I find that whole conversation to be really interesting and one that I would love to participate more in. So yeah, beautiful yarn. I'm really excited that this will be kind of the accent, and then I'll have to think about what to do as far as the accessories with the shawl. So I'm super excited about getting those. I'm gonna move pretty fast on that one, probably faster than the pink cardigan, because I can wear this like now. And this pink cardigan I started before I had baby bump. So it's not as motivating any longer, because I did see myself wearing that cardigan buttoned, tucked into like high-waisted jeans. I had like a whole look in mind, a very summery evening look for around here that I thought would be super cute. So it's just, we'll see the kind of progress I make on that, but it's slow going right now. And then the last kind of work in progress that I have is not a knitting project, but a project for my son's room that has been so sweet, which is right here, which is making, oh my goodness, which is making a quilt for my little boy. Okay, so I am not, this is my first quilt. I've never made a quilt. Never thought I would actually get into quilting. However, over the last 6 months, I've just, started finding so many talented makers, and all of these new quilt designs that were popping up that were just so gorgeous to me. And I love a good like vintage look. Like you'll even see in this space, I've got some vintage furniture that I'm going to be refurbishing and bringing back to life, and I absolutely love to do that. So I thought a very safe place to start would be setting up my son's room. Is going to be a big part of his Christmas gift this year. He's getting a new bed and probably a new dresser, just a new bedroom set, and a space that feels a bit more like his big boy 6-year-old self. And so I actually took him to Joann's, and he picked out all of the fabric for this quilt. So you can see we have a space theme happening here. He picked out all of the space fabric that Joann that they had. And the way that this is not off a template. I just figured out the size of quilt I wanted to make him, and then pretty much just did the math from there. This was a very satisfying project. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it needs to be finished. It needs to actually be quilted and put with the quilt insert that I have for him. So that is coming along and coming together. I no longer have a dedicated sewing space, which has slowed that project down tremendously, because this space is sort of, we're clearing it out, making room for baby, and it's just going to be more so a knitting or like lap project kind of room for me for, over the next year. And I'm thinking I've got a corner in my bedroom that I could set up a small table with my sewing machine. And I'm very much wanting to do that, because it is such a hassle as a busy mama to get the sewing machine out, set it up, get everything going. I don't like, I don't know, it's just having a dedicated space where there's no food around, no kids' snacks around, where I can focus on sewing is so much faster for me. The whole project is just not as enjoyable, like on the dining room table or something like that. I have a hard time with that. So so that's sort of held this up just a bit, and we're still shopping for his bedroom furniture and everything. So I know once that comes in, and it'll just be a lot, I don't know, it'll be motivating to just get that done and get his bedroom set up. So I will, keep you posted on that little project, and creating just some beautiful mommy made pieces for him. So those are the big projects I have going on right now. I would imagine coming up, we're going to be talking about some baby knits. I'm definitely gonna be casting on some baby knits soon. I'm really feeling to make myself a few more shawls and blankets. I have some really beautiful lace weight yarn that in these rich jewel tones that I thought would be really nice to make like a nursing cover, or even like a stroller, like a nice cover for the stroller, that lets plenty of air in, like a very lacy sort of blanket or shawl or scarf. So I have a lot of projects in mind, and I also am a ceramicist and a potter, and spend one day a week in a potter's studio for about 8 hours making pottery. And so a few of those pieces might just pop in and say hello during our finished objects chat. If that's all right with you, if they can make honor, if I can bring in a little bit of pottery during during knitting hour here. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and sharing in this experience with me. I'm still such a beginner with knitting, and I thought, it just could be really sweet to document the progress and all of the ups and downs of the journey along the way, and get some advice from you guys, because I just absolutely love reading the comment sections on knitting podcasts. They're just fascinating. I learn a lot. One question I will leave you guys with, I need some advice, is I am finding that I probably would like to start working with some different knitting needles. So the set that I started with, I think is actually for socks, maybe. They're like the little needles. Do I have, actually, here they are. Here, this is what I'm using right now, you guys. And I love the interchangeable the cords. I think that's so genius. I love that. But this size is like a little bit too small. Like I wish it was, if these needles were longer, I think it would be easier on my hands. I have a hunch. So just the first set that I got these off of Amazon, and was like, well, I'll just give these a try. And I'm just starting to feel like they aren't long enough. But then other needles I'm finding that are highly recommended by other knitters, like the Hiya Sharps, that's what I'm using right here for the sleeve, and I love them. They're awesome, but I don't think those are interchangeable. So do you guys just buy, like, do you just have a lot of knitting needle sets? Is that what's going on? Like, how else do you do it, I guess, right? Because I have a certain length cord that I want for shawls, but then I also have this certain needle size, obviously, right? So if you have knitting needle sets that are worth it to you as an experienced knitter or someone who's been knitting for some time, tell me what you like. And do I just need to be buying more needles? I don't know. For different projects, it does seem like it would certainly make a really big difference in motivating to just keep going, because my hands have been cramping up even since last night with using these. I'm kind of having it's not terrible, but I just feel like it could be improved. So tell me your knitting needle suggestions. What sets do you like? I love an interchangeable needle, but I want it to be metal and like longer. And I don't know if what is that? What do I look for? So maybe you guys could give me some guidance there, because I do think it would help me speed up a bit. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. So thank you so much for being here. What a fun chat we got to have today. I really enjoyed sharing what I've been making. This can be a little bit of a lonely process sometimes, especially as a mama who's, just making away at home and it's so nice to share and, show some of my work. So I will see you in the next episode, and take care.